Happy Chinese New Year's, everybody. Or Lunar New Year's, depending on where you are in the world. It's that time of year where you light incense, grab a pomelo or other citrus fruits, and for whatever reason, just don't wash your hair for a day. To be honest, other than those little superstitions to be quote-unquote lucky for the upcoming year, I honestly don't know too much about how they celebrate the Lunar New Year's in other countries or even China. For the most part, I don't even know what food they eat. I mean, I've heard of families coming together to make homemade dumplings, which is always beautiful, and also this mochi rice cake known as niango that you sear on a pan, and which is, by the way, very delicious. You should definitely try it if you have a chance. Other than those two, I really don't know what's like a quote traditional meal they have out there, or even if there is one. I didn't grow up in China, and I never had the chance to celebrate the holiday in one of its home countries, except for that one time I was in Hong Kong for the Lunar New Year, right when COVID started, and they decided to cancel all of the New Year celebrations. So, yeah, I don't count that one. I was born and raised in California as a Chinese American, or what they like to call me in China, a quote ABC. If you don't know what that stands for, it's American Born Chinese. And yes, they do actually call me that. So, for all those reasons, I didn't really have a major tradition of Chinese New Year's or Lunar New Year's around this time of year. I would see my grandmother and mother put out candy trays and have plates of citrus fruits. We'd definitely buy some flowers and we would definitely have a nice dinner together, but never really knew what was the things behind those traditions and what we even ate consistently, or even if there was a major tradition I was not aware of. All I do know is that you're supposed to celebrate with friends and family, feasting up a storm and having a great time and seeing people you haven't seen in a long time. And for that reason, actually, this time of year is terrible travel time in China. It's like awful. It's like the worst traffic you will ever see. Trust me on that one. It's actually kind of funny. But unfortunately, for me, I won't be able to be like them and I won't see my family this year. And to make up for it, I thought I would make my grandmother's soy sauce chicken, or xi yao gai. Grandmother taught me the recipe a little bit before I left for college, and I don't know why, but I think around that time I just had this kind of epiphany that I wanted to retain and be a closer part of my culture, especially learning Cantonese food. And I asked her to teach me some dishes, and this was one of the first ones she ever taught me. It's a very famous dish. If you've ever seen one of those Hong Kong barbecue shops, you've definitely seen a hanging black chicken or like brownish chicken. That's the xi yao gai. So unfortunately, this really is a family recipe, and I can't really go around sharing the full details of how it's made, but the general idea is pretty simple. It's a whole chicken or a cut half chicken that is slowly braised in a sweet and savory soy-based braising liquid that is made from definitely soy sauce, but several other spices as well as the Chinese mirepoix, which is ginger, scallion, and garlic. Now those different measurements can change wildly between recipes, and obviously the spices and what you put in that broth and braise is wildly different. Now, if you do make a version of this, save the liquid. Trust me on this, it is basically black gold. It is amazing, and if you keep adding more liquid to it when you cook stuff, it's basically a rolling broth or braise, or you can also use it as a sauce for the chicken or pretty much any other like vegetables and meats. Trust me, it goes really well with everything. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm making this because I personally won't be able to see my grandma this year. She's in Hong Kong, and I wanted at least to make something that reminded me of how she cared for me while I was growing up. And honestly, that's the important thing about this holiday. At the core of all its glitz and glamour and fireworks and everything, it's about family and treasuring the time you really spend with them. And for that reason, I do think it's a great holiday, even though I don't know too much about it and how to really celebrate it correctly. So, on that note, 恭喜發財，新年快樂. I wish for you all to have a great and prosperous Lunar New Year.